just 5 quick tips to take away to just help you to connect with your audience, because we're all brands and you're going to hear this more and more and more. Everyone wants to push their brand, either their personal brand or their business brand. But for the audiences who are watching this, it's kind of like, that's nice, next, and you don't want that. Get your notepads, get your iPads, get your pens, get your papers, get your whatever it is that you need to take notes, okay? Tip number 1, you need to have a solid product, okay? And this is one that not a lot of people like to talk about. But what about the product? Because all that spending money you're throwing into the branding and the marketing and everything else will be in vain if your product essentially sucks. And I hate to say that, but not every product, is at the final, now I need to launch phase. But if you are putting it out there, whatever it is, if it's your personal product or course, if the audience don't want it, then it's not going to do well. Okay, so don't waste your efforts. Don't do it. And I'm saying this because, look at brands like Apple. People line around the block till today because they know that they're going to get the latest and the greatest product. They don't even know what it is, but if it's Apple and it's got Apple's logo on it, and this is even beyond logo, this is about the product itself. They're just ready, they're sold. Number 2, know thy audience as well as you know yourself. Okay? Know thy audience. And when I say that, I mean, I'm talking about know their whole day. What does your have a persona in your brain. When your audience member, when whoever it is you're trying to connect to, gets up in the morning, what is the cereal they use? What is the toothbrush they use? What is their mindset in the day? You need to know who they are, what they go for, what their needs are. You need to know your audience, okay? And know them as a person. So in your brain, have a persona that know the demographics. My target audience is 40 years old and likes to read and wears glasses and also is an artist but likes to also ski. I don't even know what your audience member is, but you should know who that person is. So have that in your mind, who your audience is, and really, really know them, okay? Have a script, the whole persona. Have that down and capture that. So keep that in mind. Tip number 3, don't assume that you know your audience, okay? So people think oh, I have the latest, greatest product and people are going to love it because it's the best thing ever. I've created it. Or if it's a restaurant, or if it's a clothing line, or whatever it is that you're launching, I know as a small business owner particularly, you will feel as if you feel that this thing is the best thing ever, but that's the best thing in your headspace. That's not necessarily the best thing for your audience. So just keep that in mind. Don't assume you know what your audience wants. So, and this is kind of getting back to the product again. But if you know your audience, you already know what it is that they need. Okay, so don't assume that because I'm going to target millennials that they're all tech savvy and they all want, the latest and greatest, and they can't write, and you're generalizing now, okay? And yes, that's a start, but once you start connecting with your audience members on social media, when you start doing your analytics, once you start seeing who's purchasing, once you start seeing what the needs are, then you start to not generalize. Tip number 4, be consistent. And I say this all the time. Be consistent, not just in your brand, but I'm talking about in your tone of voice, in your communications, in whatever your product, whatever you're putting out there, be consistent in it. And I'm just saying this because just think of McDonald's. You can get the same, burger and fries and combos, and I want a number 1, I want number 2, number 3, and it's the same. The product is always the same, and it's reliable. 9 times out of 10. It's reliable, and you're going to get what you want from McDonald's. And you know the golden arches, you already know the brand, but the product is also consistent as well. So just keep that scenario in mind. When people don't want to be thrown off, okay? They want to know that this is your brand, and that's always your brand, okay? And that actually goes into tip number 5. Being different, okay? And that doesn't mean you have to do like, be crazy with your efforts. It just means being authentic with the way in which you're branding and putting your message out there, okay? So the more that you're authentically branding and connecting with people, the more you're able to establish trust, establish a relationship that's key. Those are my 5 very quick tips for you. You can always find me by visiting my website, reneewalker.me.